What's up, Take Flight Fraternity? This is Q, and I'm about to show you a few more ways how to make some money in the market on this week's Sunday watch list. So the number one thing I will reflect to last week and just go over it and then see how we made a couple grand in this market last week, all right, off our Sunday's watch list. So this was a play that I gave you playing it off earnings, and I told you all I would like Facebook to come down and fill this gap. But if it didn't, it had to break this level of resistance that it built. And then it certainly broke that level of resistance. And you can see once it broke at 302, it ran all the way up to the top to 332. So you can see that was about a $30 run that it made in the market. All right. So even if you played it safe, got out a little early, or even if you was a little risky, you still could have got a $20 run in this market off of Facebook last week. It's easy, ladies and gents. Make sure you just look at the watch list, utilize your tools, build your rules, and you can make money in this market. Buy back your time and build that generational wealth by one trade at a time. But we can't be greedy all the time, all right? So like I said, it had to break that level of resistance at 302. And you can reflect back to last week watch list and we can see. So it broke this level of resistance and it made its way up. And that was not the only play that made a run. AXP, also known as American Express, also made a run, and we can reflect back to this as well. You can see that whenever I had posted about the trade, I said I would like it to break this level of resistance that it has built. And then I was saying once you get in after it break this level of resistance here, you get in. But unfortunately on Monday, guess what? It dropped all the way down. This could have been a good entry because the way we could have played the week before, remember, it has to find a bottom. So you could have found that bottom and caught a nice little bounce at the 140 level and ran it up to 154. Or you could have been disciplined, found when it broke this level at 147, which you could have got an entry at 150, and you could have rode it from 150 all the way up to 154. So we could have had two opportunities to buy into this, and it's a good move in the market. But now I have another new plays on our Sunday watch list, and this we can learn how to make some money in this market this week. All right. So the first company that I have this week is MasterCard. All right. So MasterCard, I noticed, and you know we like to play these gaps. This is a way to make some easy little money. It's trying to find ways to fill these gaps. So we saw that it created this gap. Earnings wasn't as good as we expected. It had a gap. So earnings was on the 29th. So it had earnings. So guess what? It had a gap here that it dropped as well. So just looking at this, we got two gaps in this that we want to see that it can get filled. So this year earnings, there's a lot of high expectations. So guess what? If you're not meeting these expectations, the market is going to crush these companies. But if we know our rules, can find these opportunities to buy in cheap and make a way back up. We did it with a couple companies like SXT, which made like a $25 run, also filled the gap. So let's look at this. So number one thing I want to see MasterCard break 383. So we need to break 383, fill this gap. So we go back. These are the things we got to use our tools. We see these pivot points. Utilize these pivot points. So we're looking at these pivot points and we can see if it fills this gap, it can also hit this level of pivot at 389. So 383, 389, we can get a $6 run on this, and we can get it to sit on top of that 389. Guess what? I'm looking forward to fill the next gap up here. So 396. So MasterCard has a potential to make about within the next week or two, potential to make a nice $10 to $15 run. But for sure, I want to see this run. So if we can get it to break this level, fill this gap, and break this 26-day moving average right here, we can catch us a nice little movement in the market on this MasterCard play. All right. So make sure you keep that in mind, breaking that level of resistance, heading to the next level to make a little money. So the next ticker that I have, it might be a little bit cheap, a little affordable, is MGI. So MGI is MoneyGram. And MoneyGram made a nice little drop last week on Friday. MoneyGram dropped about $1. So you want to look at MGI, and we see this 200-day moving average, and we know this 200-day moving average is pretty strong to break. All right. So we're trying to break that level, and it's starting to make an uptrend and made a bounce on this 20-day moving average. Is also that level of resistance is also a pivot point as well. So if we can break this level of resistance, I can see this making a run back up to about $7.30 for MGI. About 30-40 cent move can get us at least 20-30% return on investment. Their contracts is pretty cheap. Usually when I buy MGI, I probably buy a good 4 to 5 contracts. Let's say, for instance, you buy for $10 to $20 a piece. You're looking for a 20-25% return at least. And it got potential to make a dollar run, and move back up to the next level of resistance. All right. So the next company we got is AMD, Advanced Micro Devices. And we can see the same thing. We see it sitting on this pivot point, and it's starting to create a level of support right here. But it's also at the 200-day moving average. It had a big sell-off of earnings. It didn't report well, but the same way that I'm playing it, the same way I'm telling you all, earnings had high expectations, and we're looking for these companies that made a big drop, looking to build that level of support and recover next week. All right. So last week it was hard for these tech companies, and this week we're looking for these tech companies to go ahead and start a recovery and move its way back up. And we're going to try to benefit in the market and see if AMD can give us a move. But the move that I wanted to see, we need it to pretty much break this 200-day moving average, because we can see that has a level of resistance, but it was the previous level of support right here, and they respect this level at 82.40. So if we can get this 82.40 level broken, I can see it sit here at this next pivot point, or potentially break through and go up to 84. All right, so that can be us a nice little day trade or overnight swing trade on that. And so the next company that I have is GOGO. Oh, that's not it. GOGO. So like I said, a lot of sell-offs in the tech industry, and it affect a lot of the tech. So GOGO is a company that now is sitting on this 200-day moving average. And we see that support, but we also see why it's a support and what it made it drop. There was a gap, and guess what? It has came down and filled that gap. So as we see, these gaps majority has to get filled. So this gap drop down has became filled, and we can see some bullish volume at the end of the day on GOGO. So I am looking for it to break this level of resistance right here at 1050, and we see the next pivot point is not all the way up until 1110. So we can make a nice little move up on GOGO. And like I said, these are one of these value stocks that we can catch some cheap contracts on, and we can make us a little bit of money on it. And this is for our new users. If you want to just practice on try to trade options, GOGO, MoneyGram, these will be a little bit more cheaper option contracts, so you can see to make at least 20 to 25%. That way you can budget in your profit with your losses. All right. And the last company that I have that I think is going to make a great move this week is UNP. All right. Union Pacific. If you know anything about the trains, these are the guys. They have a lot of volume at the end of the day. Look at this. It has double volume at a buy-in at the end of the day. They expect to hear some good news this week. I expect it to make a good move. It's already on the verge of breaking my level that I want to get filled. So if it break this level at 222.45, I can see this movement going well beyond this and possibly hitting this last level of resistance. So it might $6 move that can happen in the market. And if the news that comes out is even better, we can see this potentially move up even more. So I will pay attention to this early up on Monday morning because it has potential to make a good move. And this week, if it pulls back a little bit, just know I feel like this should make a good move. I expect some good news out of Union Pacific. So stay up to the date with the news for them. But like I said, this is some crazy volume you see, bullish volume right here. And we can see previously when it had this bullish volume, we can see it move from 218 all the way up to 226. So it made a nice $8 move within the 2-day range. So this has potential to make a nice move. And also, I believe I seen a weekly contract for like $50 for next week for probably about $3 to $4 out the money. So I think it was 227 for like $55. So there might be something you want to do. The theta is not too bad. But like I say, unless you're day trading, you always want to make sure you get you some time. So that way you have an opportunity to bounce back if the market does not come into your favor. All right. So those are our watch lists this week. Just make sure you tap in, follow me, and let's take flight.